Hi, Luba. I am so excited to have you here today.
Hi, Kate. It's a pleasure. Thanks very much for inviting me.
It's really so inspiring for me to have you here today. First of all, because you are my first female guest, and you are also a very successful lady. You are an entrepreneur, you are a parent, you are very patient and dedicated in your job, which I know firsthand. And I'm really just excited to have you here. Today, we will talk about your entrepreneurship and also parenthood journey and how you went through all of this and still going on, because I know you have many other things in your plan uh, just coming towards you and you are walking towards it so smoothly.
Okay. Well, let's see how that goes, right? It's always smoother from the outside than the inside, I guess.
Yes, definitely. This is also one of the reasons why I like doing this series, because I feel usually we like learning from other people, right? But we also want to relate to them. And if we just look at certain figures everybody already knows, sometimes we might feel, oh, I would never be able to reach this kind of high level of entrepreneurship or anything else because we just see the perfect side. But when we have the chance to talk to somebody who is more closer to us and we can
Mhm.
relate to their story, I think it's very valuable. So, Luba, would you start with maybe sharing how was it for you to become an entrepreneur, especially in the foreign country, and later becoming a parent again in the foreign
Right.
country?
Okay. Well, I first became a parent in a foreign country and I stepped into entrepreneurship. And I guess this was a very interesting journey because um, it just happened. I did a lot of overthinking it in earlier stages or our first years in China when you still don't know the country so much and you don't know your plans for the country and what are you going to do? Are you going to stay here a long time? Are you going to leave soon or what's going to be happening? So we just went with the flow pretty much. And then I guess when you go with the flow and just start living your life and you don't put off your life until tomorrow or 5 years later or when you retire or when you move back home or somewhere else. This is when things start to happen. You just allow yourself to invite change in your life, no matter where you are and what is happening, right? So when you're open to change and you invite change, then change comes. So I um, had my kids, and when the kids were little, I knew I would still, stay at home most of my time before they go to kindergarten or somewhere else, because as an expat family, we don't have any other extended family support here in China. We didn't have an IE or a caregiver for my daughter when she was little. So I had a lot of free time. This is when I quit my full-time job in educational management. And I thought I'm going to keep learning. This is what I love to do. So I did lots of learning. I did my Cambridge diploma in uh, teacher training and teaching English as a foreign language. I stepped into teacher training. This is when I started to work remotely, even part-time. And I opened that door. So it um, showed me a new opportunity, though actually remote work is a very valid and available thing. And me being here in China, I could have a couple of contracts, one with a company in Canada that was fully remote and part-time, and another was with a company in Barcelona that had headquarters in the US, again, fully remote and part-time, and also related to my professional background. So I felt that was pretty exciting to be able to balance it all with the benefits of remote work. But of course, you know, everyone is different. And for me, once I when something becomes possible or I make something possible, then I look for the next thing that can be possible. So when my son was, I don't remember, maybe a year and a half, so I thought that I'd probably go back to full time. I'd probably go back to a managerial role when he's 3. So I have roughly a year and a half, or maybe a couple of years to prep for my comeback. And then I thought, so what should I do in this couple of years? So maybe I could do my favorite activity, learning, and I could learn something else to, to make myself a stronger candidate after a 3-year break from full-time work. So I was thinking, what was I going to do? I had 3 options. It's basically doing another master's. And I was looking at things like coaching or human resources or people management or talent management, organizational psychology, something people related, because I really always loved that aspect of management that is focusing on people. And then my second choice was doing an MBA. And then my third choice was doing a coaching certification. And I thought that if I move forward with a coaching certification, that will enable me to use these skills across different industries. So it's not so industry specific. It's really has a wide application. So I went for coaching certification, and I never planned to become a full-time coach, as I told you. But what happened was that once I was a few months into my coach training, I got so passionate about coaching, then I completely decided to develop my coaching practice. And because I started to actively develop my coaching practice, I got very active in social media. I got active with my outreach to my closest circle and friends and their friends, starting to get some clients. A coach training organization, a coach training provider noticed me on social media, and they, reached out and said, hey, what you're saying is truly inspirational. Your energy is so catchy, and you're clearly passionate about this. And how about we have a call and see if we, have some opportunities to explore together. And then they offered me a chance to bring a coach training program to China and be a trainer for the program by the time I finish my coaching certification program and get my credential. And I took on that challenge. It just felt so natural at that moment. And although I always said that I don't have an entrepreneurial spirit and I'm an expat in a different country, and I'm in China, I don't speak Chinese fluently, and everything's so complicated, and I don't know how to get started. And then there are so many, things to do, so many challenges to overcome. I guess when I got really excited about the idea of doing something that big and creating a bigger impact for other people, not only for myself, I got answers to my questions very quickly. And then I guess in a month, I had my company, I had my business license, I had a plan, we had a project, we started to plan, and then COVID happened. And, I literally a few months after I started my company and I got some participants for our first round of coach training, COVID started and we all got under massive lockdown. And these are the conditions that I was starting my business in China, which is still running and expanding and growing. So yeah, I guess that was quite a journey. I've been talking a bit too much already.
No, that's perfectly great. And when I listen to you, I can relate to this, and this, so many things you mentioned. First of all, I'm also a parent, and I also started my company just under the first wave, not even the first wave of COVID, but like summer 2020, when it was already kind of here, but we went through different phases. And what is really inspiring for me is when I look at you while you're speaking, you are speaking, and then you mention, and then I discovered the coaching, and your face just changes, and your everything becomes different. The passion, you mentioned that you got so passionate, and then you went on social media, and then they spotted you there. I'm not surprised, because you totally change when you talk about coaching. And probably this is what they saw, and this is why they reached out. And then you were able to kind of get into this working relationship. But really, your everything changes. The whole energy will change once you mentioned coaching. And also when you mentioned how the answers lined up for you when during this journey, the answers they lined up and certain doors opened, your whole energy just changes. It's really noticeable how passionate you are about what you do. And I think this is a very valuable ingredient that is important for a person in your position to have, because then you bring more value to your clients, definitely, because I can already feel you are not in this on this journey and in this position because you want to become a millionaire and you only care about money. No, not at all. This gives you, what I can read from you is like it gives you a sense of purpose, and you're very happy to feel that and to share that with others. So this is the vibe I'm getting when I'm listening to you and looking at your face while you're sharing your story. It's really
Well, thank you for your
inspirational to see.
comments. Thanks, Kate. It can really be anything, right? So for me, that was coaching that got me so excited and showed me different level where my thinking can evolve, but it can be anything that makes other people exciting, right? It's not about the subject area itself. It's about this spark and connection. And I guess the second point is knowing how you operate as a person, right? Because some people have their strategic vision and, where they want to take their life, and they use that blueprint as their North Star, and this gives them grounding and motivation and purpose. I do not operate this way. So I operate on a spark by spark basis. I just create these sparks. And when the spark appears, that drives me for, for a few years, and then there's something else related that starts to spark, and that's how I continue and grow. But because I respect my way of operating and I'm aware of it, that's why it works. But it's, again, not the only way you can get things done, right? Different people can make best use of their own operational systems.
Yeah, definitely. Recently, I saw a video and it said like, this person is also an entrepreneur and they have a 5 years plan, and the 5 years plan divided by year after year after year, and each year month by month by month, and each week by week. And I'm like, wow, I'm so impressed to hear that, but I'm aware I could never do this. It's impossible for me. So when you say you create another spark, and then this is what attracts you and you go towards that. And you also mentioned when you reach something, there is another something afterwards, like another goal to reach. This is also very relating for me, because I think sometimes we don't even have the whole idea where the journey is taking us, but we reach a step and then there is something else. Okay, let's go towards that too. And I'm also aware some people reach somewhere and they don't want to go further anymore. Even if they see another maybe opportunity or another close by door they can go through, some people would just say, okay, I just stay here for a while. That's also fine. Like you said, everybody can,
fine, right?
Yeah, everybody can choose their own way and their own style, their own path. And this is actually the beauty of living in today's time, I think, because we have more choices than, for example, our parents had. Yes, because I remember when my mom used to tell me some stories, their idea was find a job and stay in that job until retirement. If you can have some, like in the same company, some job advancement, that's fine. If not, it's also fine. So it was like that generation worked like that. But then already our generation is in the position, I can reinvent myself every couple of years, right? Or just keep on adding. Yeah. Yeah. So this is really, really amazing.
Speaking of planning, you should see my Excels and my planners. I'm a great planner. I have so much experience with this. And I guess that helped me so much when kids were still little and I was working remotely and I was learning and I was starting a company and balancing all those things. I do plan usually 12, 18 months ahead. So strategically development of my company. But I don't only want to talk about this. I wanted to say something else that's related. When my daughter was born, and she's now 9, I made a list of 100 goals, a kind of a bucket list, right? In a way, like what I wanted to have or be or change or do, right? So, and because it's 100, so it's easy to put really big and obvious things on it, something that you clearly want, right? But because it's 100, you start think more about that and start putting little things, not only about what you want to do or what you want to have, but also what you want to be. And I guess when I say this spark emerges, well, it doesn't emerge out of nowhere, right? It emerges because it already exists somewhere inside you. It's just dormant, it's sleeping, and then a trigger event or a trigger insight happens that wakes it up. For example, one of the things that I had on my 100 goal list was to become a great listener. This is something I always wanted to become because I thought that back then I was a much better speaker than listener, right? But I never worked purposefully on developing my listening skills. And then guess what? I changed my career to become a full-time coach. And I do improve a lot in my listening, in my quality listening, right? In my listening skills. And then I go back to my 100 goal list, which I revisit once or twice a year. And I go, hey, I hit that goal, or something that's happening now is just hitting this exact goal and becoming a good listening. And this is how it's coming to reality through my coach training, through my coach work. So I guess it's really nice to understand yourself first, and then when those trigger events happen, or you have an idea to change your career or make a transition, whatever it may be, right? And then you understand where it's coming from, and actually that there's an underlying motivation for it somewhere, right? That maybe not your top priority. It's not kind of at the top of your mind every day, but it still exists. And then when you have a sudden desire to change something or do something or go somewhere, that desire may not be that sudden.
Yes, definitely. I really think what you shared now is really an amazing idea, first of all, because when we think about, oh, what do you want to be or achieve, you can name 5 things, 3 things, just a few. Usually we just remember the big ones, and we don't go that much into developing or thinking about something smaller. But if you want to make a list out of 100, that's a lot. It takes time to identify those 100, and then probably you go listing the big ones, and then you keep thinking, what can I add? And then this becomes like a part of, who knows how much time would I take? I'm thinking now, if I want to do that, maybe it would take me a couple of days or even weeks to figure out all the 100 things. It's a lot. Yeah, I think it's a lot. And probably depends which way you want to guide it. If you want to include everything, whatever. So maybe I want to, dance salsa or something, become a salsa dancer, but that doesn't go very necessarily together with my career. So if I only want to focus 100 things that are good for my personal life and career, I might need some time to think about it. But I think it's a really interesting way for getting to know yourself much better. And of course, gives you more opportunities to definitely find the spark you're mentioning, because it might be there dormant since high school, even maybe since primary school, even maybe since when you first remember yourself. It was something that never came to realization during the life so far, but now it's there on paper. So when you go back to this list, you can realize, oh, look, this is already happening. I can identify it now while I'm going through my journey, my learning. I'm getting trained for this, for that. I want to go forward with this, with that. You actually realize you're doing it. It's great, right? It brings you joy too, I think. Yeah.